secondly, as we work through these verses and we begin to read and listen to these words. Verse 4, for I brought thee out of the land of Egypt and redeemed thee out of the house of servants, and I sent before thee Moses, Moshe in the Hebrew, Aaron, and Miriam. And so after we look at the direct revelation from the Lord, now we begin to and we can consider, do remember the Lord. Now, the Lord himself, Jehovah, this is the self-existing God. This is the covenant-keeping God. This is the God who's better to us than we are to ourselves. Now, Jehovah himself, he said, for I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when you follow the narrative, when you follow it in Exodus, he sent Moses and Aaron over to Pharaoh, and he said, tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And the reason he said it, so they may go worship. So they may go on a 3-day journey and worship. God is serious about his worship. Hear ye now what the Lord said. So as we reflect on this, and he said, for I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt and redeemed thee. That means that he paid the debt for him. Out of the house of the servants, and I sent before thee Moses. They esteemed Moses very highly. He was the prophet, and Moses. But the Lord said, now I was the one who sent Moses. Moses was minding his own business, tending his uncle Jethro's flock on a hill. He wasn't even thinking about God. And God came to him and he commissioned Moses to go to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Do remember the Lord. And then secondly, in verse 5, he says, O my people, remember now what Balak, king of Moab, consulted. So we know the story in Numbers chapter 22. It's kind of one of my favorite passages of scripture because the Lord loosened the tongue of a donkey. But here it is, Balak, the king of Moab. He hired Balaam. Balaam was a prophet for hire. He hired Balaam to go to curse Israel. And so when you follow the story and you follow the narrative, as Balaam was on his way over there, an angel of the Lord stood in the way, and a donkey he was riding kept turning to the side. This is Numbers chapter 22, kept turning to the side. So Balaam got upset, started beating the donkey, and then he began to talk to the donkey, and then the Lord loosened the tongue of the donkeys, and the donkey spoke and asked Balaam, why are you beating me? And Balaam responded, well, and Balaam, so foolish, he speaks back to the donkey, well, you are mocking me. And then the donkey said, well, don't you see that angel of the Lord standing there with a sword? And so as we work through it, so as Balaam went, God told Balaam, the angel of the Lord told Balaam that you would not curse the children of Israel because they are a blessed people. And matter of fact, when you go before them, you will say what I tell you to say. See, this is how powerful the Lord is. Hear ye now what the Lord said. The Lord has power not only over humanity, but over beasts. And when we read through the Psalms, we see that he also has power and dominion all over the stars of the universe and all of nature. Do remember the Lord. And then in this verse, it's kind of weird. It reads in the King James, after it says, and what Balaam the son of Beor answered him from Shittim to Githal, that ye may know the righteousness of the Lord. Now, some of the translations kind of split up that last part in that verse 5. But when you begin to study the Old Testament and you begin to see what happened in Shittim, Shittim was a place of sin, idolatry. All the evil that they did in the sight of the Lord, this is where they did it at, in Shittim. But the Lord being merciful, the Lord being gracious, the Lord honoring his covenant that he made with their father Abraham, he allowed for them to cross over, and he allowed them to cross over to Gilgal, that ye may know the righteousness of the Lord. It's some things you ought to know. See, that know is the Hebrew word yada. Yada is knowing something, but it has a level of intimacy. It's a picture of the intimacy that a husband and a wife will have. It's a picture, y'all smile at me, of the intimacy of that a husband and a wife will have. So when you start talking about knowing, it's knowing something that you see physically, but you understand the spiritual implications to it. And so here it is. So he said, do remember the Lord. You know, take some thought. And he talked about that Egypt, that how he redeemed them, the children of Israel. And he talked about how he changed the prophet and told the false prophet what to say. to bless his children. And then he talked about how he, despite their wickedness, how he allowed for them to cross over from a place of sin to a place of blessings. And I just wonder if there's anybody who can testify and remember what the Lord has done. When you think about a situation that was out of control, even when you consider this pandemic, the fact that we were able as a country to be able to get hold of vaccinations, ain't God all right? When you think about every Sunday, when you hear the list of people who it seemed that COVID-19 had got the best of them or whatever took place, and the list get longer and longer, but the Lord woke you up this morning with your right mind, with a reasonable portion of strength. Ain't God all right? Do you remember when you were walking? I'm gonna talk about myself. Reverend Ellzey was walking in the wrong direction, and the Lord intervened and turned me around. The Lord, as Jesus talked about the parable of the 100 sheep, and one went off, and he goes after the one. That was Ellzey that he went after too. Do you remember? Hear ye now what the Lord said.